Well, this is awkward. I woke up expecting to find myself in bed, but clearly I've been abducted by aliens and strapped into the cockpit of their intergalactic cruiser. There's even a glowing display telling me my exact arrival time at Alpha Centauri. But wait, oh no, it's not aliens, it's Ford, and it's 1962, and we're in the Seattle-ite XXI. Now, let's take a trip back to 1962, a time when the world was obsessed with space exploration, nuclear energy, and the idea that flying cars were just around the corner. Seattle was hosting the Century 21 Exposition, a World's Fair where people gathered to marvel at groundbreaking innovations, enjoy unique fairground treats, and collectively wonder why the Space Needle looked like a giant alien toothpick. It was here that Ford unveiled what I can only describe as their most ambitious idea to date, the Seattle-ite XXI, a concept car that was so ahead of its time it might as well have been designed by the Jetsons. Let's start with its looks. The Seattle-ite XXI was impressively long. At nearly 18.5 feet, it had the presence of a limousine designed to turn heads. It was low, aerodynamic, and had a certain Bond villain car chase vibe. The front end was particularly unique because it could detach entirely. Ford envisioned this feature as a way to allow drivers to swap out engines effortlessly, offering unmatched flexibility for different driving needs. Picture this, you're driving around town with a sensible 60 horsepower power unit. It's quiet, efficient, and perfectly suited for everyday driving. Then you decide to take a road trip across the country. No problem. You simply head over to your local nuclear engine shop and swap in the high-performance transcontinental unit, which delivers over 400 horsepower and more than enough power for an exciting journey. This modular powertrain idea was the brainchild of designers who believed in exploring cutting-edge technologies, including the possibility of nuclear reactors to power cars. Yes, nuclear reactors. You got to remember, this car was basically Ford asking how far they could take things. They even looked into fuel cells, which honestly doesn't sound that crazy anymore. The car used a 6-wheel layout with 4 steerable wheels up front and 2 fixed at the rear, something that would later show up in race cars like the P-34 in the mid-1970s. Designers believed this setup could improve traction, stability, and braking. Then there was fingertip steering. This was Ford's idea of the future, steering with the kind of precision you use to scroll through your phone. They promised it would offer accurate zeroing in at all speeds, though what that actually meant wasn't entirely clear. Inside the Seattle-ite XXI, things got even weirder. Gone were traditional dials and gauges. Instead, Ford dreamed up a travel programming computer with a massive display screen. It would show you engine performance, weather conditions, your exact location on a moving map, and even your estimated time of arrival. Sound familiar? Yep, they basically invented Google Maps in 1962. Of course, back then, computers were huge and ran on punch cards, so the chances of this system actually functioning as intended were slim. Still, it's kind of interesting to think that ideas like today's infotainment systems were already on the minds of the designers, even 60 years ago. Now, let's talk about the windows. These weren't just ordinary windows, they were jalousie windows. You know, the kind with slats that open and close like blinds. Ford claimed they would reduce noise and improve ventilation. Then there was the variable density glass. This feature was designed to block out glare and help keep the cabin cool, all while improving the effectiveness of the air conditioning. Ford's obsession with futuristic features didn't stop there. The Seattle-ite XXI also had fixed seats, meaning you couldn't adjust them. Instead, the floorboards moved to bring the pedals closer or farther away. I'm not exactly sure if that would be the most practical or reliable solution, but it's certainly an unusual concept. And let's not forget the cabin itself, which was designed to be tranquil by isolating it from the engine noise. Not exactly the word I'd use, especially with a nuclear reactor in the mix, but I'm not a car designer, so what do I know? Now I've got a weird question for you. What do Wink Martindale, Philco, and Ford have in common? It sounds completely random, I know, but it all ties back to a short film from the 1960s. Just to give this a bit more context, Ford had actually bought Philco in the early 1960s. Philco had already been supplying things like car radios to Ford for years, and after the acquisition, they were involved in everything from consumer electronics to computer systems and even defense projects. Then in 1967, to mark Philco's 75th anniversary, the Philco Ford Corporation released a short film called 1999 AD, featuring a 34-year-old Wink Martindale. The film imagined what a home might look like in 1999, where each family member's daily routine was managed by a central computer and built around products that looked similar to what the company was already making. So why did Ford make this car? Well, the official answer was to explore the possibilities of future automotive design and engineering. Essentially, they gave designers the creative freedom to dream big and see what might come of it. And you know what? Something did come out of it. While the Seattle-ite XXI might not have been the most practical or conventional car, it's important to remember it was a concept, so it's not meant to be judged like a production model. Many of its ideas, modular powertrains, advanced computers, alternative energy sources, have found their way into modern cars. Today we have hybrids, EVs, and onboard navigation systems that owe a bit of their DNA to this fascinating piece of Ford history. The Seattle-ite XXI never went into production. It didn't even make it to full scale. What we got was a 3/8 scale model that now likely sits in a museum, catching the eye and sparking curiosity from anyone who passes by, though most people probably don't recognize what they're looking at. But that doesn't mean it was a failure. This car was a product of its time, a time when people believed the future was full of endless possibilities, nuclear energy held great promise, and cars might one day drive themselves. It was a symbol of optimism and creativity. So the next time you're stuck in traffic, staring at your GPS and wondering why your car doesn't have jalousie windows or a nuclear reactor, think back to the Seattle-ite XXI and think of a time when car companies dared to dream big. The information in this video was gathered from the sources shown on screen. As always, you can find the sources in the Google Doc linked in the description. I recommend checking them out for more details. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and click on the recommended video that appears on the screen. It's all about the 5 rarest American station wagons ever built. At the time of posting, that video has reached almost 200,000 views, so I definitely recommend checking it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.